Good morning, good evening, or good night, depending on when you're listening to this. You are listening to Dad and Company Pod. I'm Chris, I'm the host. You've heard me multiple times. So this week, it's going to be something a little different. It's not going to be and company, it's just going to be me. And I'm just wanting to talk about some things from my past. So here we go. This is gonna this is gonna be a little bit of a somber episode. Uh, gonna talk about my family and how I got to where I am from my perspective without having the perspective of anybody else here today. So I grew up in Southeast Ohio. Everybody everybody knows that already. Uh, and I lived in multiple places, and eventually we settled down into a trailer on the same property as my grandfather. Uh, it was me, my older brother, and my mom. I saw my uh, father every other weekend. You know, not out of the norm, really. That's pretty commonplace, especially from where I come from. So it was there was a lot of heavy emphasis on family with my mother and my brother. My grandfather hosted barbecues all the time, and we played a lot outside. We didn't really have a lot of possessions and whatnot, but we had what we did. We built buildings, we made gardens, we helped repair what needed fixed, helped work on cars, did a lot of yard work. You know, the normal shit for poor families from Southeast Ohio. So when I was, let's say, when I was 10, 11 years old, so June of 1997, I was at a friend's house for the weekend. My mother dropped me off. I went to this friend's house all the time. I played basketball, NBA Jam, Mortal Kombat. You know, I did normal kid stuff. And so we're outside playing basketball, and someone comes tearing into the driveway. I remember it because, you know, it's a pretty memorable day. And they, we go out to the front yard, see what's going on, me and my friend, and they are explaining to the family that my mother was in a car wreck. So, just immediate devastation. We hop in the vehicle, and our I pretty much just it was blue skies, middle of June, and the windows were down. I just remember having my head resting on the window as trees are flying by. You know, we're just trying to get to the hospital as fast as possible. And by the time we got there, it was too late. So that that Friday when my mother dropped me off, it was it was crazy because the last thing I had said to her was, "Hey, I don't need to tell you goodbye. I'll see you in a few days. I'm in the middle of playing a video game. Like, leave me alone. Get out of here. Quit being needy. Quit being an old person. You know what I mean? Leave me alone." And so it's pretty crazy that was the last thing I got to say. Um, so the next few days were just a whirlwind. I really don't even remember much of it. Um, just trying to figure out, like, people were trying to figure out logistics of where am I gonna go. Me and my brother are displaced now. Uh, we had some input from what I remember. We had some input. I remember at one point saying, "Hey, you know, like, I want to go where my older brother goes. I've been with him for, I've lived where he's lived for 11 years. He is what I know." So we moved in with our grandfather, who, um, well, we'll back up before we get that far. Um, First of all, I was, you could consider me, in the context of how we lived, to maybe not spoiled, because I don't think I was spoiled, but I was definitely protected by my mother. Um, I got away with a lot of stuff. I wasn't that a lot of other kids in our family couldn't get away with. Um, my brother was blamed for a lot of shit, and I was blamed for a lot of shit. But we weren't the best kids, but we were kids. So, um, but I don't know, we made it through. Uh, Christmases were a pretty special time. My mom did everything she could to make sure that, if nothing else, then we were at least together. We had what I would consider a very big, a very full tree, always decorated. We always watched How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Um, it was a good time, you know. And probably the reason why Christmas is, by far and away, my favorite holiday. I love just watching Christmas movies, listening to Christmas music, uh, baking Christmas cookies, food, ham, just all of that. It just reminds me of, um, I don't know, an easier time. It's always easier when you're a kid, you know what I mean? So that's it's pretty fun though. But, shit happens. Uh, we move in with my grandpa, and then I don't know. It was, I like to play baseball, and so I just kind of tried to, as hard as it was, just go about my days, uh, moving moving along. It was Little League season, so I continued to play Little League. It was just something to keep my mind occupied. um, so we, I don't know, our grandfather was a preacher. Very early Saturday mornings, you're always up, uh, going outside no matter what season it is. Uh, we're gonna work on the barn today. We're going to make sure that the driveway is plowed. We're going to, I don't know, cut this tree down and move it. Didn't matter what the temperature was, the shit had to get done. um, so my grandfather wasn't the best person in the world, but there were some things in my life that he also protected me from. Unfortunately, he was not one of those things that he protected me from. Uh, I only heard my grandfather cuss a handful of times, and I definitely was one of those uh, instances where I just probably pushed and pushed too far, and he was set in his ways and would yell, and I don't know, he definitely wasn't the softest individual when it came to punishments. If it was a switch, hey, go cut your own switch. This If the switch wasn't sufficient, there was a rod that he had. So it was just ruling with an iron fist. In some ways, it definitely made me a worse person, but in some ways, it definitely gave me the discipline to work hard that I have. And I am in no means excusing that behavior. Anytime that behavior comes up, it it sets me off a little bit. If that behavior that I hear about, like on the news, or it's just one thing that I can't condone. Not that anybody should, but it sets me off a little more. Is violence towards children. It's something that I definitely had to endure, but I did, and so today, I, for better or worse, it's my kids definitely understand that they can push me a little further, especially now that I'm older and have a little more patience. But then it came to a boiling point. I got removed from that household. I got put into foster care, and from there, I was there for, I don't know, like half a summer, not very long. And then that's when I had an aunt and uncle say, well, so sitting there, I had a social worker come and talk to me one day and say, hey, you know, we have a house for you now. Like, we have somebody that wants you to be a part of their family. And hearing that was awesome. I loved it. Um, but and that's how I met most of the people that I've talked about. you know, that moved me out to Alexander. And so my new high school was it was definitely a fresh start. I didn't fit in at my other high school. I It's a different demographic. I was definitely not part of the group of people that you could say were a popular group of people or liked. Popular probably didn't have anything to do with it. I was just not, I didn't have any money. I, sometimes I had to wear the same clothes. Sometimes I was dirty. Just stuff that couldn't be helped. But, moving out to my new school, they were more forgiving, I guess. They were more, I just found a group of people that didn't care what I looked like, didn't care, my social status or my background. It didn't matter. They were just a group of people that I had the same interest with, and I just struck some really great friendships from there. But the reason why I'm having this self therapy session, and if you've stuck around this long, thank you. I know it's difficult to listen to somebody just drone on and on about their own problems when everybody else has problems too. Uh, but I wanted everybody to know like where it came from. But the reason why I've been feeling like this lately is the 30th just passed of September, and that's my mom's birthday. So usually around this time of year, I shut up into myself. I don't talk to anybody. I get all pissy and mopey, and it's something that I'm trying to change moving forward. But it's something that people go through, and it's hard, but it's better if you talk to people about it. I know this because I didn't. I didn't talk to anybody, and it can be hard. So, uh, it's definitely something that I struggle with, and it's not easy for me to talk about it. But I figured if I shut myself in a room, pretending like I'm talking to myself, and just talk about, some of the good times, some of the bad times, it can make me feel a little bit better. So, let's talk about some of the good times. Let's talk about some of the bad times, usually caused by me. I I was not a great kid. I didn't listen. I was rebellious, more so than what a normal child should do. But I'm sure it wasn't easy on other people. Some of the good times were um, just bringing home a project that I had done, and just knowing, like, I didn't care what grade I got on it, just knowing that no matter what it was, like, she would definitely be interested. You know what I mean? Like, be interested in what I had done. Even if she wasn't interested, she faked like she was interested. So it was all the same to me. Just, waking up and like running down the hallway. It's like bang on the door, even though I knew that she had worked late the night before. Always willing to get up, until I learned, like, hey, I can cook eggs by myself. I can, butter toast. I can turn the TV on. But I never did. I always woke her up. She was always happy to get up. Happy go lucky. But I'm just, talking through it. Man, it's been so long too. 1997. What is it? 2022? Jesus. 25 years. Did I do that math right? Yeah. 25 years. It's been so long. But, Christmases, Halloween. Man, she loved Halloween. We would carve pumpkins. We would always shamble together, whatever costume. It's easy to be a ghost. It's easy to, I don't know, put on some baggy clothes and paint your face and be a member of ICP. Yeah, I did that one year. Ridiculous. And we would take a plastic bag and go uptown and walk door to door and see who could get the most. And I would walk around with a friend of mine, and I'd never like ran away from the group. Run away, not like maliciously, but it was a different time back then. You definitely could walk around, with a friend and get away from your family a little bit, and hey, just meet us back here around street so and so around X time and we'll be fine. But it was just something that, I always wanted to, walk with her. And my like one of my best friends at the time, who we've talked about before. His name was BJ. And he would walk right with me, and we would have shenanigans and antics, and she would play right along in with it, and it was pretty fun. But we would have tell me nobody else did this and you're a damn liar. We'd have a plastic bag and we'd get our candy, and then every so often we'd take a look. Yeah, we got a decent amount, and we would dump it in a pillowcase that she was carrying around. That way it would look like we didn't have very much candy, and people would feel sorry for us and give us more candy. It was just our our version of a scam that we would try to run, and we thought we were so good and hot shit at it because we were dumb kids. And she would know. She had to have known. But happy-go-lucky as always. And always a smile on her face. And then, Thanksgiving would come around, and I don't know. I honestly don't remember a lot about Thanksgiving. I'm pretty sure my grandmother and my grandfather would hold Thanksgiving at their house, because I remember sitting around that table and passing around pie, sitting in the living room, and TV, dinner trays. That was always a good time. Seeing my family and just being around everybody. But man, Christmas was always the big one. I would, stay up late, go to bed early, or stay up late, get out of bed early. Always so excited, and open one or two presents that we had, and just be so happy. And she always made time. She always made time for family. It's something that I definitely try to do now. Like, looking back at now that I have a daughter who's moved out, but I mean, we've always done Christmas because I've always made a big deal about it. But I still, to this day, try to watch. I don't try. We watch How the Grinch Stole Christmas every year. Man, this is hard. So if you're ever out and about, just know that it definitely can be worse. Obviously, there are other details that I don't feel comfortable like putting out there, but she did a great job with two hooligans. Two very active, athletic, but man, rambunctious and just destructive sometimes. Destructive sometimes. Man, I look back and that was crazy. She definitely was a fucking saint. So June is a little rough for me. You'd think that 25 years later it'd be a little easier, and it is. It's a little easier. I mean,
but I wanted to get on here and just let people know that if you're having a hard time, it's okay. Talk to somebody about it. Sometimes it can't be easy. Sometimes it isn't easy. Sometimes you need a little time, but just make sure you make time to talk to somebody about it. But just my word of advice would be just listen. If somebody if you even think somebody needs something to listen to, just listen to them. It's fine. You don't even have to say anything. It's free and easy to listen. Sometimes that's just all somebody needs. But I honestly don't think I'm not gonna do this for much longer. I thought I was gonna be able to share a little bit more, but just know that I definitely turned out better than I thought I would 20 years ago. That's due to some of the great people that I've mentioned. Some of the great people that I've talked to on this podcast. This is going to be a super short episode. Anyway. Jesus. So, I'm not going to sign off like I normally do. I want to say thanks to everybody who's helped me. Everybody who continues to help me. I just want to say thanks to everybody who helps me, continues to help me, has helped me in the past. And I know you can't hear me. But I love you, Mom.